Welcome to You Know Me, a podcast of Brunswick and the Golden Isles. I'm Buddha.
I'm the Beard.
And Beard, how was your week?
That was great, man. And last night I was at First Friday. It was amazing. It was pirate themed last night, and it was extremely busy. So, yeah, it was a good night.
I missed it. We thought it might have rained, so we stayed inside.
No, luckily the rain held off. So
yeah, well, I've been going back and forth from Savannah all week and driving past the new Buc-ee's every single day that's coming up. And since we live right here in 17, all that road construction, I guess they're really preparing for a lot of new people moving into this area.
yeah, and First Friday last night was extremely busy. So that was really good. It's growing. I mean, the Golden Isles is growing.
That's growing, and we're great because we're with four lovely ladies who know all about moving, especially to Brunswick and the Golden Isles. We are in South+East Properties, and with Alli, Nikki, Carmen, and Carli.
Yep.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Say hello.
Good morning, yes.
Why don't you start with introducing yourself and your team, and give us a little bit of something about each other.
Would love to. So we are, like he said, South+East Properties. We have been around about 6 years, and we have a team of 15 agents. Offices here in Brunswick, and we have one in Waycross. We also have an agent up in North Georgia, so if you have a student, a kid moving up to Athens, or know somebody moving to the Atlanta area, we can help you in both directions. But we're so happy to be here. We're a boutique firm, so we are really, really big on customer service and walking the extra mile with our clients. And we would love to help, with moves to the Golden Isles.
And now, so the Golden Isles is growing. Have you seen a lot of interest from people from other states or even within the states wanting to move into the Golden Isles?
Oh, for sure. I think the weather is a huge draw.
Yes.
We hear that a lot, and especially since COVID times, there's been a tremendous amount of people moving from all over the country to the Golden Isles because of weather. People didn't like being stuck in their houses.
Right.
And so you get down here and you have all the outdoor activities, the beaches, just the natural beauty.
I would add, too, that since COVID, we have more people working remote, so from home. And why would you not move to an area that has the beaches and all the things, like the good weather? So we have a trend of that as well.
That's true, yeah. Remote work really exploded during COVID and then after COVID. And I know a lot of people that they've taken remote jobs and they moved from the state that their physical office location job was at and move, especially to the south. Because of, like you mentioned, the weather, the beauty. You can go out almost all the 365 days of the year. You can enjoy the beach.
Absolutely. And one thing that we always tell people they can enjoy is their screened porch.
Right.
So you get down here, get a house with a screened porch, and you're golden for 11 months out of the year.
Yes.
So.
Well, we won't talk about the gnats.
Yeah.
And that's another side feature.
Hence the screen porch. That's by the way.
Yes. So another thing is cost of living. People, they've cashed out in these bigger markets and they've moved south just because cost of living is less. They can come down and buy a house in cash, and they're just set up a little better financially.
So what do you see as the demographics, like the age range of people moving into the area? Is it younger, or is it people retiring and wanting to come down here and enjoy that cost of living?
It's really been a mix.
It's a good mix of both, I would say.
Yeah. It really has been all age groups, honestly.
Wow.
Of course, being in a beach area, you're going to get a lot of retirees, and we certainly have.
Yeah.
But I feel like people have just come here for opportunity, the weather, all the things. So it's not really one age group.
Yeah.
And it's such a great place for families too. There's lots of activities for children, and the school systems and whatnot. So it's a great area for families too.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I'm one of the, like a FLETC. Well, I work for DHS, and then I came down here for FLETC as an instructor, and I instantly fell in love with this area and everything that you mentioned. Especially, I have three. Well, they're getting older now, but at the time I had three younger kids, and just being able to enjoy the 365 days of being able to do things in the area. So yeah, so it's I don't know what it is. It's just that you come down here and you just instantly fall in love, and you're like, I gotta find a house and stay down here.
Absolutely. There's just something majestic about so many areas. Like my family loves going to like Gould's to watch the sunsets and then just look at the little tiny crabs. And, you know, there's just so much in nature, you know, that you can enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And the amazing sunrises, too. If you want to get up early enough and go over to Jekyll, Driftwood Beach, and watch the sunrise from there, or East Beach on St. Simons.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And I did a lot of Uber driving in the past, and I get a lot of these people on vacation going, what is it like to live here? How much does it cost? What, you know? And so I was like, yeah, you know, you get more bang for your buck down here than you would if you're living in Chicago or New York.
For sure.
And I always was like kind of ended up being like a salesperson trying to sell, you know, like, yeah,
Should
come
get you
on,
a real
we're
estate
done.
license.
Or maybe we should be Ubers.
Maybe we should be Ubers. That's our new marketing plan for 2024.
Get all the tourists that come in and be like,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I can help you.
I can help you get a house. I know somebody.
That's exactly right.
I know a guy. But yeah, no, it's definitely a growing area, and we moved down 9 years ago, and for work, and not to Uber, and we really enjoyed, you know, Jekyll and St. Simons being so close by. I like the fact that it's not like Hilton Head. I'm not bashing Hilton Head if anyone's listening, but when you compare St. Simons to Hilton Head, I prefer St. Simons because it's more quaint. It's not overbuilt. It doesn't take you 3 hours to get on the island, and you have some wonderful places to eat, and you've got, you know, a nice big beach, so you have plenty of room, and it just feels more comfortable. And so that was my big thing when we came down here. And since, you know, Newcastle Street has been developed and still continuing developing, is just a bonus for us, because, you know, we're usually at First Friday. We were just anticipating that we were going to get like dumped on with rain, so we're like, oh, let's just stay home.
Yeah.
Should have gone.
So, you know, all the how is the housing market for down here?
So for right now, like for instance, if we want to talk about Brunswick per se, we are looking at like about 3 months of inventory. We're still at a seller's market with that. Everything is selling 99.8% to list price, with an average of 15 days going under contract. And, you know, you got an average price of about $330 for the selling price of a home.
And I'm just going to ask this layman question because so what do you mean by 3 months worth of inventory? How do you figure that out?
So you look at the number of homes that sold. So she's looking at June numbers. You look at the number of homes that were sold in June, and then the number of active listings, and that helps you determine, you know, how many months of inventory we have. So it would, like, if we didn't get another single listing, we have 3 months
Worth of inventory.
You're
Of
calculating your sales
sellers.
rate and then saying,
You're
this is our
running your
sales
cap
rate,
rate,
and then
yeah.
this is how much listing out. So if we're doing this a month, then
Right. So we're still in a seller's market.
Yeah.
In most of our markets, it balances out around the 5 to 6 month, you know,
Okay.
amount of inventory. And then if it gets beyond that, then it's a buyer's market. Now, we had times during like 21, 22 where we would have like not even 30 days of inventory. Like it was
Wow.
crazy.
yeah,
So-
we took advantage of that.
That's good. Yeah. But, you know, now we're at 3 months or a little over 3 months. And so if you're a buyer, you still want to understand that there are still some opportunities for buyers, you know, so you definitely want to hire representation
Yeah.
to make sure that you have somebody looking out for your best interest and negotiating for you.
Let's get into it. Let's, like, you know, what is the buying process, especially for someone who is listening that might be a first time buyer. I mean, because it's scary. It's a lot of money,
Oh, for sure.
a lot of information that you really, those underwriters really like to dig into your life. And so walk us through that first time experience.
Okay. So at some point, everybody has to buy their first home. So you think to yourself, well, where do I start? So firstly, you need to check your income, of course, how much debt you have. You want to look into expenses that you have to pay monthly. And then you just need to start building your credit. Credit cards are a really good way to start building your credit. Of course, you don't want to max them out.
Pay them off.
Pay them off.
At least keep below 30%.
Exactly, 30%.
That's the point. Pay your loans off. All those are really good ways to build your credit. After that, you want to get in touch with a lender. So real estate agents and lenders, they go hand in hand. So we work together like from the beginning all the way to the end. We have a lot of lenders that we know and that we recommend that we can help you get in contact with. Because most of the time people are like, well, what lender should I choose? So real estate agents are really good at providing that information for you. So that way you can get pre-approved for a mortgage and just see like what your expenses are, closing costs, and just kind of what your payments will look like for your home. So after that, that's when you want to have a consultation with a realtor and sign that written agreement, so that way that they can show you homes and kind of see what you're looking for and the best price option for you. So
The written agreement that she was talking about, I would love to touch on for just a minute.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Because we have some changes coming to our industry. So you guys probably heard about the lawsuits against the National Association of Realtors. A settlement was reached, but in that settlement, there are some terms that we now have to abide by to have the protection of that settlement, and it starts August 17th. So there are some things that will be changing for buyers, and this is a national thing. So if you hire somebody with the realtor designation behind their name, this is who this applies to. So the first thing is you will have to be in a written agreement with an agent before they can open a door for you. So, gone are the times where you can call us and we can just go run out and show you a house before you're in some sort of written agreement. So you're going to see a lot more buyer consultations prior to us going out and showing you houses. And there are a couple types of representation in the state of Georgia, so you definitely want to sit down and understand what your responsibility is going to be. It is very, very good and very important to have that representation as a buyer.
Right.
You can kind of picture it like the seller has representation, right? They have an agent who they're in a client relationship with. When you get one as a buyer, it's like you're going into the game with a coach.
Mm-hmm.
The other side has a coach, and you then have a coach. You don't want to be without that expertise leading you.
Right.
But what comes along with that is that coach has to be paid. And so what this is simplifying is how that happens. Now, there are a couple of options for this. So the seller's broker has a rate that they're paid, and they could share part of that with a buyer's broker. But if the seller won't allow them to do that, then as a buyer, you need to be educated and know what your financial responsibility would be to your agent.
Oh, okay.
Because, it's just part of the budget, that you've got to plan on. And so you definitely want to have all of those facts. And so that consultation up front is so important. Just, hiring somebody, you want to sit down, you want to interview them and understand, all the directions of it and what your responsibility will be.
So is that the new part, is like with the seller not sharing the commission with the buying agent? Is that something new?
Well,
I thought that was
it's
always
always
there.
been negotiable, right?
And Georgia's
Yeah.
always been really good about disclosing and having that. So
Yeah.
being the fact that it's a
Yes.
national level, it was more other states that were having the issue that wasn't really disclosing it properly or how it was being done.
Yeah.
Whereas Georgia, we're pretty good with our contracts and how we
We
disclose
have
it.
the best forms committee in the state. We have the best attorney that is representing the Georgia Association of Realtors, and they really have been doing things the right way for the longest time.
So this is something new. I thought it was something that, because I've bought and sold a handful of houses, has always been both agents got 50% of the commission.
It can be.
It's
It's negotiable.
negotiable.
It's
Mhm.
negotiable.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
and how that's,
that's
paid is
gonna-
negotiable as
Right.
well. So it can be like I think that's what the changes are. It could be the seller's broker still doing the commission. Or it can be the buyer. Like if the seller's broker is only doing 2% and the buyer wants them to have 3%, they can give them that extra 1% on their side.
Yeah.
So that just makes it all where it's in writing and it can be disclosed.
It's just in
how
writing
it's
up
happening.
front.
That's
And I think
better.
Everything in life is good if it's disclosed up front, right? So, I mean, if you know what to expect up front, then your expectations are set, and you can plan accordingly.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it's going to clean some things up in one sense. But, you know, we have these big changes coming August 17th, so everybody's a little nervous of, like, how this is all going to pan out, because as agents, another part of the settlement is that the compensation can't be in the MLS anymore. So there are these pre-showing compensation agreements that have to happen. So our jobs are going to get a lot more labor intensive. They already were, believe
Right.
me.
Yeah.
The things that we have to do to get something to the table, I mean, people never know, you know, all the steps that go in. But anyway, I think it's going to be good. It's just going to be an adjustment for the market. So
Yeah, some added paperwork, some
Absolutely.
some more upfront discussions before you actually go out.
yeah,
The biggest thing though is my biggest takeaway is that you really need to get that pre-approval on your
Yes.
mortgage
Right.
first before you can really go out and
Know
expect
what you're looking for.
you know, to see where you're gonna go.
Well, you have to know your budget, what you can
Yeah.
afford, and then interest rates have kind of been all over the place, a little higher. You know, they maybe have come down a little bit. We're hearing some good industry reports, but you don't know like what house to look for. Also, there are different loans, and so there are different property requirements for the different loans.
Right.
You're really shooting in the dark if you're not pre-approved.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, because there are
Oh, yeah,
a
you
number of products out there. I know they've pared it down because of that crash in 04, because some of the lending was a little suspect.
Like I know with the USDA loan, they require a bunch of strict things.
Yeah.
When-
FHA and VA are
Yeah.
the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you
FHA and
need
VA.
like an expert to represent
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
because like we know what to look for. We know like, is this house, does it need work to pass the FHA?
Right,
Like we
yeah.
just have that experience underneath us where we
Yeah.
can help you with
Yeah.
that.
Do you get a lot of first-time home buyers that come in with a little bit of a delusional idea of what they get?
Like what is it, like a
Like, you know,
home buyer where
yeah.
like she's a knitter and he like
They're looking at
whittles
like
wood and he
like
wanna
$1
buy
million
it.
homes when they're only pre-approved for like 350.
So we're only really supposed to show houses to buyers that are ready, willing, and able. So the able part would kick in there, that they can't really afford the $1 million house. But everybody always does have a wish list. They don't always end up with what's on their wish list, but there's just something in real estate that's so cool. And these girls can talk about it too, where you might have X, Y, and Z on your wish list, but you might walk in a house and immediately feel at home. There's like this
Yeah.
X factor we can't explain. We can almost see it on people when you walk in your house.
Yeah.
So anyway,
No, I know what you mean. Like when I bought my first house in Vermont, we walked into it and I just
you knew.
I knew.
Yeah.
I knew. And then when we bought our house here, it was the same thing. We looked at a lot of homes within the area, but we walked into the one and we're like, this.
There's
this
almost
is
a
it, yeah.
spiritual side of it, or I firmly believe there is a spiritual side of it.
No,
Oh yeah, when we bought our first house, it was more like, okay, yeah, this will do. So as soon as that market turned around, it's like everyone's selling their houses. I'm like, we're selling this house. We're selling it
Cashing
right now.
out.
We're not gonna get money like this for this house. But then we just got into a house that's like, okay, this is more. Because you can tell. I think people walk in like, oh, we can put our couch here and the TV goes over here.
Yeah, when the
We
wife
start-
starts saying where she's putting the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
There
true.
has
It's a
been
done deal, guys.
emotional
Guys, forget it. You're buying that house.
Yes.
Just stop looking.
Yes.
Maybe that's what you should tell everybody. Just put a Christmas tree in the corner.
Yes, it really. There's something about it.
Yeah, yeah, something about that because that's going to be your
Yeah,
that's Christmas, right? And that's where you can put your tree.
the
in.
memories are made.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So how many? Now the area's been growing extremely fast, and we know you got a 30-day market. But how quickly is the turnaround? Is that 15 days? Is that the turnaround for like if I put a house on the market today?
That's average, right?
Average.
So this is what we find is successful. You have to price your house right.
Right.
So get a professional in, listen to their recommendation, And then you want to hire somebody that's really after maximum exposure, and that's what we do. So we are after maximum exposure. We're going to get you in front of the most people we can, but we're going to have your house priced right. If you come out of the gate and it's too high, you're really shooting yourself in the foot.
This might be a controversial question, but how many sellers do you have that say, no, I wanted this, and you're like, no, I'm sorry, but you got to go this.
We definitely have to have those hard conversations. But I would rather, again, let you know up front. This is really probably what we're looking at, because then I'm setting you up for reality.
Right.
You know,
because I've seen that in my neighborhood where somebody prices the house where it's supposed to be priced, and then you have the same exact house, and they're like, well, no, I want to get like $50,000 more, and it just sits.
It sits, and then buyers say, "What's wrong with this house?"
Right.
And then it sits for longer, and then they end up selling for less because just negotiations. So you really need to listen to the professional that you hire.
So do you see that? Like you just mentioned, like that it's priced and it sits. So do you see that buyers look at a house that sits on the market and they just say, well, something must be wrong with
Absolutely.
it? Absolutely. Buy it?
100% of the time.
Wow.
100% of the time. If they see the days on market being elevated, like they're like, something's wrong with this house.
Instant red flag.
Especially in the market we've been in. So.
Yeah, it's a hot market. Like I've seen houses in my neighborhood, like they, the sign goes on the lawn and like 2 days later under contract.
Yeah.
But then like I mentioned, the house that's priced, it just sits there and you don't see any activity at all.
That's right.
We had a house like that in my neighborhood, and it was priced at like $460,000. But of course, we're nosy, and we do our Zillow scans all the time.
I can tell you that
we
very
walked around the
nosy.
neighborhood and around the house, and because it was empty, and I was looking in the back window, and I look up, and I could actually see the hole in the roof from the ground outside. I'm like, they want $460 for this? I'm like, I'll give you $50 cash money right now.
But you make an interesting point, because we're nosy too. When we see houses in our neighborhood go for sale, we're like immediately, like as soon as we see it, we're like, we go on Zillow, and
because you're looking at the investment that you have. This is one of your biggest investments, and so you're watching it just like you would watch the stock.
We're always watching the value of the house, and like of course we use Zillow. We're not plugging Zillow or anything like that. There's other
there's
sites to go to,
great
like
local
South+East Properties.com.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we always look at that because it's the value of the house and the market, and how much equity we have, and then we're looking at the others in the neighborhood, and are they standing up? Are we what's going on? And so far everything's been great. We only have that one. There's always that one house they like, God, man, I really wish they'd do something about the front of their house.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like the paint's peeling off, and you can see like half the shingles are almost falling out. And just like,
so are you an HOA guy or not HOA guy?
Oh, well, we live in an HOA, but I'll tell you, I am their worst nightmare because I hate HOA stuff. And being in an accountant backwards, I'm out, and they've raised the HOA like by $200 in 2 years, and I'm like, I'm auditing you. And they're like, what? I'm like, I am auditing you. And they're like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, yes, I can.
Yeah.
if you're raising HOAs, I'm like, oh, so they're scrambling right now, because I'm like, you need to explain to me why it's going up so much. You have like they have a patch of common grass like the size of this table. I'm like, come on. I can call like 8 different people and get quotes a lot less than what you're paying this guy.
Yeah.
That actually got a question on the HOAs. Do you see a lot of people from out of state? Because like I grew up in areas where HOAs don't exist. Do you see a lot of people coming in and they're unfamiliar with HOAs, and like, do they find it scary, or how do you?
So usually people have a strong opinion on HOAs. In my experience, would you say that they either love them or they hate them, and they're like, do not put me in an HOA. Like, I want everything outside of an HOA. They've had a bad experience, and then you have some people who just love the consistency of an HOA that they get with their property and the maintenance and everything. So I don't think we've ever had one who wasn't familiar. I think everybody
understands what an HOA is.
They understand.
So how's that for your inventory? Like if someone comes in, because the HOAs are pretty much almost everywhere, especially down here.
Yeah.
Is it hard, like when someone comes and they're like, I don't want a house in the HOA, to find them property in?
So we have some really good options, like out the exit 29 area. You can find a lot of things that maybe don't have HOAs. There's stuff on the island in St. Simons that, is not in an HOA. But I think the good thing that HOAs do, especially on the island, because short-term rentals are a hot topic, you can really mandate the length of those stays through your HOA, So if you're somebody that you don't want a lot of vacationers coming in, find an HOA where there's a 30-day rental minimum or, a year lease minimum, things like that.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
It just depends on kind of what your needs are.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. HOAs are like a 50-50 for some people, but you're correct, because like in my neighborhood, we make sure everyone's the properties are up kept.
Yes.
Because
right.
if not, then potential buyer can come in and they look at the other houses and they're like, no, let's go somewhere else.
Right.
So
yeah, it kind of protects value in some ways.
Right.
So.
Now, I got another question. Talk about marketing. How hard is it to market your firm against everybody else's firm?
So we're super relational,
Okay.
and we have been from the beginning. So we build one brick at a time, and we are really focused on that one client at a time. And so word of mouth is huge.
Okay.
Now we have a wonderful general manager who handles our marketing, and I feel like she makes all of us look good, wouldn't y'all say? Like she just is a rock star. So she is definitely carrying the load with that, but we're so relational, and that's what matters to me as a broker too. Like with our agents, like we're not the biggest team in town, but I probably talk to 7 or 8 of my agents a day. Like those relationships are so important to me. I want to know what's going on in their lives, and not just work, like like how can I pray for you, and those sorts of things. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it, because I've dealt with some different kinds of agents. Some are very, I think she was like an East German shot put. She's like, you do this and you do this and you do this. And I'm like, what? This is like the first time I ever was trying to sell a house too, and I'm like, oh my god.
So it dysregulated your nervous system.
Yeah, I was just like,
using her again.
and I'm like, you get, and then she'd come by and complain that I hadn't cut the grass in time yet, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I would say real estate's so stressful anyway.
It's so
I mean, it's a
stressful.
huge transaction, so you've got so many emotions
it's-
during that process. You do want somebody that's going to be the calm to the storm and say, okay, look, like be the professional in the situation.
That's right.
Say, look, we've seen this happen. Let's get the resources, get the information we need, and get you to the closing table. Not like take the emotions out of the stressful
Yeah.
situation.
I think that's one of the biggest things, is that you have to be that calm temperament,
Yeah.
because I'm not.
And most of our clients aren't.
I mean,
You
the
have
thing is,
to be.
you're dealing with a lot of money, whether you're buying or selling. It's
That's
still a lot of
right, that's
money.
right.
There's a lot of information
So
coming
much
at you.
stress.
It's nerve-wracking.
So for me, having an agent that is knowledgeable, that can sometimes talk to me like I'm a 4-year-old, because like some of these things are complicated.
If you don't do it every day,
Yeah.
it's like a different language, different
Yeah,
ballgame.
it is.
And for buyers, that's like trying to buy a home without representation. You're setting yourself up for all sorts of loopholes and problems. And when you go buy a car, or when you go to the doctor, you want to go to a professional that does
Right.
this every day,
Yeah.
that can help you, get to the closing table without the least amount of stress possible.
Right.
I think there's a lot of
Yes.
terminology that's involved that is not in your regular day, like escrow, closing
Due
costs,
diligence,
due
yeah.
diligence. So when people hear that kind of stuff and it's new, so I think having that, you're a coach, a teacher, a voice of reason.
A counselor.
A counselor.
Just
I'm sure, there's been certain marriages that kind of got a little dicey during the whole process.
We have dealt with some situations, yes.
You probably have a bunch of stories.
We
like
have
that.
a bunch of stories that we will never tell.
I worked in the ER for several years as
yeah.
a nurse, and I would say I've got some equally interesting stories to tell from real estate.
And she came in so equipped to the business, and she's been calm. And I think the ER totally prepared for real estate. Like, you guys would not believe what we
So
deal with.
you can compare the stress of trauma
stress
unit
level, yeah.
to real estate.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Just a lot less blood.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I'd say no blood, but less blood.
Thankfully.
Yes.
more
Maybe
blood.
sweat and tears are equal.
Yes.
Yeah, probably more blood in real estate.
It's been good.
So now you've got your clients that come in and they buy a house, and especially if they're out of the area. So I know this was my first experience when we moved down south. I really leaned on my agent for my source of where everything is. Who's a good plumber? Who's a good landscaper? Where are the good restaurants to eat? You know, what churches should I be going to or looking at? So it's not only you have to be knowledgeable of your business, but you have to be knowledgeable of the area. And do you kind of have like a list of preferred carpenters and
We have a vendor list
contractors?
that we are happy to share with our clients. Yeah. I mean, I think it hits every category.
For sure.
And then our agents are so good about recommending like restaurants and things like that too. And Nikki is really good at that because she is our foodie.
Yay.
I call her for recommendations.
So we're moving down here. Where be some of the places that you'd recommend us to go first?
Well, it just obviously depends on the area because we do have so much just in our surrounding counties. If I was to recommend any place in Brunswick, I think my go-to would be Indigo's.
Yes.
Actually got her to go there this past week, and I ran into her.
Yes.
She happened to walk in there for the first
She's
time.
been telling me about it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to run and get a little to-go plate and try it because Nikki has been telling me this is the place to go.
Yes.
And I walked in, I was standing there, and in walks Nikki and her family, and it was just a little serendipity moment.
It's so good. So you have your Indigos. I'm happy that Bubba Garcia's is actually in Brunswick
Downtown,
now.
yes.
So
for
happy.
that I like to go there. It's comparable to La Salsa though. If I had to speak on Mexican restaurants, people don't really know too much about this place, but for a good home cooked country food is Nick's Buffet on 17.
Yeah, and they're only open a certain time,
Yes.
Yeah.
Just the daytime, 11 to 2:30, but
Yeah.
they're great for that. You have St. Simon's, who has like Sea Salt Kitchen.
correct? Yes.
It's a little place that you wouldn't know about, but
Absolutely
it's just so
delicious.
fresh and
Yes.
good. So those are just some of my favorites. Now, I actually border on the line of Brantley County and Glenn County. And if I had to mention another restaurant for you guys to try that you probably haven't, is Scott's Barbecue.
Oh, yeah, my husband
They're
loves
right there off
Scott's.
82.
Yes, I'll tell you. They were at First Friday one time, and I had their smoked chicken sandwich. Oh my God, it was amazing.
For sure. So
Wow.
definitely enjoyed them. I can go on about the food here. It's really great.
Oh yeah, I mean the food is
really
the
good.
food is amazing. And, like we have our own little I don't even know how to like the word to describe it. Like a little food haven. And I think tourists are drawn to our restaurants and
Oh,
our
for
food
sure.
that are here.
Yeah, like one of our favorite places is Fiddler's.
Okay.
We love
Yes.
Fiddler's, yes.
One, because Amy's great, and she makes the most amazing key lime pie.
Oh,
Okay.
Love key
I've had it.
It's for two people. It really is.
Do you eat it by yourself though?
No, I couldn't. I mean, it really hits you like right in the. It's got that great tang, but it's huge. But they've always got good stuff, and we've had just about everything on their menu, and so that's one of the places I'd like to recommend when I'm talking to tourists or people
it's a
coming in.
great date night spot, too.
For sure.
It's a
Love going
perfect
there.
spot. But, we kind of talked about this before we got on, but I did take a break from accounting finance, and I owned a couple of pizza restaurants, Italian food, stuff like that. And one of the things that I did is I actually signed up to be part of the real estate association of Hilton Head, so I could get everyone's email, and I would blast out these emails to all the real estate agents about if you bring your clients in during lunch with your business card, you get 5% off your lunch. I did the Welcome to the Neighborhood, have a free pizza coupon that if you wanted that was free to the agent. They just had to give me their card, and I'd print them like 5 or 6 or 10. And that was a great return. I think, I can't say I'm the only one who's thought of that, but I haven't heard of any other person who owns a restaurant doing something like that. do you have any, I would say, deals about like relationship with some of these restaurants or vendors that are accommodating to newcomers coming into Brunswick?
So we don't personally have any deals, but I know some of our restaurants are great about offering like discounts that you'll see in some of the island magazines and stuff. So you might get 10% off or something like that. I love your idea though. I think that is a great idea.
Definitely something we would consider exploring.
Yeah.
I know they do good with the high schools, like the bands and the football
Yeah.
teams, and they have those little cards you can
Yeah.
buy.
Yep.
But to do something more real estate based, I think that would be a great idea for us to dive
It
into.
was a wonderful tool because that when I was living in Bluffton at the time and they were still building a ton of houses, D.R. Horton actually asked me to make them like 300. I'm like, oh, okay. Let's just start at 50.
Yeah.
Because it's just like my little printer at home. But they were really cool about it. But it did bring in a lot of repeat business, and that's because I think it was pizza mostly, and that's one of those things where it's junk food, but everyone's a connoisseur, especially when you get all these people coming from the Northeast.
Oh, yeah.
I had a lot of people coming to my restaurants. Hey, I'm from New York. I know what good pizza is, and I look at them like, don't worry about it.
You got it. Yeah.
But they came back, and so I knew the product was good. But it's one of those things like once you go the first time, you normally will always go. You don't really shop around for pizza places. You might, try different restaurants like the steak and things like that. But usually, you go to Arte's. That's where you end up always going. Or Fox's or wherever, or Moon Doggies. Hopefully they've gotten better. That's your go-to. So I think on that part around here, that's a good thing for some of these other restaurants like Arte and Moon Doggies, and to kind of hook up with some of the agents and doing that, and especially because like what Moon Doggies is, you got all that road down there where they're just building a ton of communities right off of it. So there's a potential of having a client base that or customer base that they don't have access to because they're so far away and there's no other
such a
pizza place
neighborhood business
around.
there
Yeah.
that they're.
You have a huge takeout.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So that's one of the things I did, and it worked out great. I got to be friendly with a lot of the real estate agents, and so there's like, well, so when the people come in, like, oh, you got to go to see this guy Frank at Pizzeria Venti.
It could also work the other way, right? Like, so if you have tourists visiting, they're like, man, I really love this place, and I would love to buy a home. And you're like, well, I can hook you up with this real estate. Or you go visit my...
I hope it would go both ways.
It should, right? It
That's
should.
right. That's right.
Now, speaking about tourists, do you see, like, tourists that visit and they want to buy homes here? Do you see that a lot?
Oh yeah, people come. We're very busy a lot of times, during popular vacation weeks
Okay.
and stuff. So yeah, they absolutely will come out on a vacation with wanting to look at houses and.
Well, when you visit somewhere, you always pull up Zillow just to see, like, if you go, to the
Right,
beaches or
right.
something, just to see what's on the market there. People do that when they vacation here too.
Yes.
So
We walk by those real estate offices and look at all the pictures they have in the window.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, 5.6 million. Well, let's just make an offer on that. We do that a lot too.
Funny story about that. All of our kids are immersed in real estate, like because we do it 24/7. And my husband and I were out of town a few weeks ago, and I was talking to my 9-year-old son on the phone, and he was like, "Yeah, so I pulled up Zillow for the town that we were in." And he was like, he had been looking at inventory, and that's just, I think, it becomes part of their blood. But anyway, it's fun to dream.
Oh yeah.
Well, with me being like born and raised from here, anytime I meet someone and they tell me where they're from, and I'm just like, how did you find little old Brunswick? Like, what? It just baffles me. So I moved away for a few years to Colorado, and being born and raised here, I guess you don't appreciate things as much
Right.
sometimes. So when I would come back and visit, and I would drive over the big bridge, the Sidney Bridge, I call it the big bridge, sorry. I would just look out and I would see what
They were
outsiders were seeing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this place really is beautiful. It's like
Yep.
it's got its whole entity, and I love it. And to now understand when people from other places find us and stay here.
Right, and also the interesting part what you said is, like, when I go visit other places, like I have family in New York. That's where I was born and raised. So when I go visit my family, and I'm like, oh, and then when I come here, like I appreciate where I live. You know, exactly. You know, and it's interesting you mentioned that the Sidney Lanier Bridge, because every time I pass by, because I have to go over there because I live down by exit 29.
Same.
So it's either 303 or interstate or whatever. And every time I go over there, I just look out, and I'm like, this is absolutely beautiful.
breathtaking.
Yeah, it's breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking.
It is.
Now, with all these industries coming in, because I know a lot of people talk about the Hyundai plant. Is it
Hyundai, yep.
And then and then Brunswick's trying to bring in some more industry, and then we got the Wawas, but the Buc-ee's. So you have all these big industries coming in or close to coming in. Do you see that affecting the market? Like more people are looking to buy because they want to be close to that industry or the job market. How's that affect the real estate market?
I definitely think when these industries open or get closer to opening those businesses, we probably will see an influx and stuff. It's been pretty steady, the market. You know, it's nothing like the crazy market we lived through in 21 and 22, but it's been steady. So I don't know how big of an impact those things are having like right at this moment, aside from property right around Buc-ee's. Is sky high right now. So,
really?
Yeah, everybody's trying to cash out right now with the Buc-ee's Bank.
The land?
Everything is, of course, Buc-ee's really does elevate an area. So we all love it.
Yeah, I mean, and the jobs that, I don't know, how many people did they hire? Like, I think we're like 200 people or
Is
more than
it?
that. And their hourly wages are very, competitive. So I could see a lot of people coming in just to be part of that. And as you mentioned, cash in on that.
Oh, yeah.
That empty land.
Well, they're going to build that area. I mean, just them being there is
It will
a
develop the
huge
area.
bump in value, but that's going to be your anchor. You get that whole thing across the way that's just empty, waiting for something
There's
to
no
be put
telling
on.
what will roll up
Yeah.
after that. We might.
Well, I've someone told me this, and I've noticed this when I visited Buc-ee's, that anytime you see a Buc-ee's across the street, there's always a Costco.
I was just thinking Costco in my mind. That would be really. I would really support that.
Yeah.
I would love to have a Costco.
So
Yes.
who knows? But someone mentioned that to me, and then so I look at when I go to the Buc-ee's at St. Augustine, there's a Costco.
There is.
The one in Daytona, there's a Costco, and
Interesting.
then they said that if you look up the Buc-ee's, there's always a Costco attached or across the street from the Buc-ee's. So who knows? Maybe we'll get a Costco.
Yeah, the
What
closest
amazing.
Costco is Pooler right now, I think.
Can we also put a bid in for Trader Joe's?
I know, right?
Yes. Yes, please. I'm dying for a Trader Joe's.
Yes.
Well, speaking about that, we always ask this question: what would you all like to see come into the Golden Isles that we don't already have?
So
I
like.
think we just mentioned a couple of them.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I mean,
we did. Yeah.
So my family has a lot of like food allergies. They were gluten free.
Yeah.
So Trader Joe's,
Trader
would
Joe's,
be
yeah.
tremendous.
Yeah.
Now Aldi, I think one of the Winn-Dixies is converting to Aldi.
All these,
Yes.
yeah.
So we'll have an Aldi, which is great. I don't know. I feel like we're so rich in restaurants and things to do that. As long as I have a Target and a TJ Maxx, like I'm golden.
We're good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a Marshalls though.
Marshalls is good. Yeah, we were just talking about Marshalls.
Yeah, it's interesting because me and my son, we usually sometimes on Saturdays if we're not doing a podcast, we'll go to the bin store, and then we'll go to Goodwill, and then we'll go to TJ Maxx, and we'll do our little like thrift shop thing.
Oh, my daughters love to thrift. There's some of them.
It's a lot of
That's so
fun.
But with all the people coming in, and we've got a lot of open land still, especially off of 99 and things like that. We're still building a lot of homes. How is that different than buying an existing house? When you're talking about building something, picking out your plot, or which community you're going to be in,
Yeah.
to here's a house that's already standing. So
So you're
What?
in luck. You have the director of operations for J.M. Allen Homes. So Carmen wears two hats, and she would love to talk new construction with you.
Yeah, so I do all things new construction. So my family owns a construction company, so I work with that, and then I'm on the real estate side. So yeah, we have lots of new inventory in the Brunswick area, and it's kind of a variety. So what we try to do is figure out the needs of whatever community we're building in. So we build in Southeast Georgia in general. But in the Brunswick market, we have, I don't know if you're familiar with Barrington Oaks. We're in that neighborhood. We've built several in that neighborhood over the past couple of years. And it's in a gated community, so there's an HOA. But we have 2 on the market there that are just marsh lots, beautiful backyards, craftsman exterior, just really stunning homes. And then we're also off of 99 on the River Oaks community as well. We have new construction going up out there. And then we're starting some inventory on old CCC Road. So we have several neighborhoods in Brunswick that we're building in. But the beauty of new construction is it's all brand new. There's warranties, there's low maintenance. You move in, and you can even have the ability to customize some of it too if you get it under contract in enough time to do so. So that's the beauty of new construction.
They build a good house too. Like, you walk in their house and you feel a difference. Like, they're not production builders, and so I don't know, you can just feel the difference.
Well, I think it just starts, like, we're a small company. So when we go in and we buy a lot or whatever it is, we stand there, we're like, okay, this has a beautiful backyard. Like, you want to see the marsh. So everything needs to be, like, focused out here. So, if you're designing a kitchen and there's an opportunity for a window, like, you're going to stick a window right there. If you're going to do dishes, you might as well look out there and have a pretty backyard to look at. Or, captivate, like, the back porch area. Like, do we want a fireplace right here? Because this is where you're going to gather if you have people come over. So it's really just, like, customizing the details. Like, what would I want if I were shopping for a house right here on this lot?
Right.
And trying to, like, bring that into what the consumer would want.
Now, do you see a lot people that are looking to buy homes? Do they more tend to want to buy new, or do they want to buy a house that's already built and live in? Do you see, like, when people come in looking to buy, do they usually say, I want a new construction, or?
I think there's a good mix. I think it depends on where they're shopping. So if they're
Definitely
really wanting to be
location.
in St. Simon's, it's probably going to be a resale.
Okay.
There's
Yeah,
not
that's
as
true.
it depends
Yeah.
on the area that you're looking in, really, because if it's an area where new construction's readily available, I would say, sure, people would probably prefer new, right? Unless they're more into, like, the character of an old home.
Right.
But just because there's less maintenance,
Right.
with a new home.
Yeah.
But and what they're shopping for. So since COVID, we've seen some trends with our buyers, like working from home. Home offices are huge right now. So there's got to be, when we're designing a home, like, what can we turn a bedroom into a home office if that's their need, or does there need to be, like, a designated office space, or, like, hobbies from home? So man caves, workout, gyms, even things like saunas. Some people have saunas in their houses now. So it just, like, having a space for those things are super important now, whereas 10 years ago, that's probably not what people were shopping for.
And that's exactly true, because, as COVID happened and technology and stuff like that, like, I wish I had a room where I could use for videoing. I do some acting and stuff like that. So, like, a lot of the times I'll be like, oh, you need a reel, or you need this. And I'm like, all right, I gotta set up the curtain in this little part. Like, I wish I had, like,
A dedicated
dedicated space.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you, like, 10 years ago it was like,
We
you
didn't
don't
think about
even
that.
think about it.
And
but
another thing, our modern day buyer, like, everybody shops online. You can get groceries in 2 hours. You can get 2-day deliveries on everything. So porches are so important. And you don't really think about that until you're in the situation where somebody's like, hey, I need a front porch because I ain't having my groceries getting rained on,
Right.
like, or my packages getting exposed to the weather and all the things. So porches are huge too, just with our
Have you
current
had any
shoppers.
custom requests for, like, somewhere to deliver packages?
Well, actually, it's funny you say that, because some people want, like, their front door recessed from the rest of their porch now because of, like, porch theft.
Porch pirates.
Right.
Yeah, porch pirates and things like that. So you've got people thinking that, now I need a space for, like, things to potentially hide.
Yeah, and
so
now, like,
it's interesting.
Now Amazon, you could, like, actually get your packages in your garage. Like, I seen, like, they advertise, like, get a garage, like, put your packages in your garage.
Like a Dropbox.
Yeah, right. Like have a little cut off in the garage so you can put your drop off.
It's funny how much Amazon has influenced us.
Yeah, and Costco doors. That's
Yeah.
a big thing now.
What kind of doors?
They call it Costco doors, but like when you unload your groceries inside of your garage, having a door that goes directly to the pantry.
seen
It's like a
that.
mini
Yeah.
I
door.
want that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
wow.
a mini door that you can just literally unload your groceries straight into the pantry.
Yes.
And they call it the Costco door. I know we were talking about Costco.
I've
a
never
while
heard of
ago.
that before.
I've
But
seen
yeah,
It's
that.
a new trend.
I've seen that on TikTok where
Yeah.
someone's like, check out how cool this is. And they're
Yep.
like, they just throw everything in there.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
my
interesting.
Lord.
Are we getting lazier?
So have you seen a change in some of the styles of the houses, and like how they're built and how they're decorated and things
Yeah,
like that?
I think it really depends on the buyers too, because you have some that want more of the modern finishes, and then you have some that just want that southern charm or coastal, So it really just depends on the buyer. But when we design a home, obviously if it's an inventory home, we want it to appeal to a mass audience, not like we want hot pink walls in there that may deter buyers in this price point. But so we would, go with a more neutral color scheme, but really try to hone in on, if we're on the marsh, hey, we want to really make this look like it belongs here, not like it belongs in Arizona somewhere. So we just really try to
Build to the
captivate
area.
the style
And you basically, so I'm hearing you kind of design that house
to fit that lot.
to fit that lot. So it's
Yeah.
not like here's three styles to choose from. Pick which one you want.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
kind of like, all right, this house has. It's almost like accentuating the quality of the land.
Yeah. Yeah.
Working with it.
So I got a question. Now we have a lot of schools in Glenn County. I don't even know how many elementary schools, but of course we have 2 high schools, 2 middle schools, and a lot of elementary schools. How much does the different schools affect where the buyers want to be?
Well, I think a lot of times parents want to do that research,
Right.
and we certainly always recommend that they do the research online and kind of look at the school ratings, visit schools if you need to, whatever you need to do to meet the educational needs for your child.
Yeah,
So,
I know when we were moving, that's the one thing that we did. That was
Yeah.
an important part of the buying process is what school district are we going to be in? Well, not school district, one school district, but what school are they actually going to
Go
attend?
to, right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that definitely does play a part in it.
So do you have buyers like calling and say, hey, I want to be in?
Oh, yeah.
This
In this
part.
particular school district, yeah, they
Wow.
do. Or they'll do their research. They'll be from out of the area and they'll look at the school ratings and narrow it down based on that.
Wow. Now, let's just talk about local buyers. Like, do you have a lot of people that already live here in Glenn County, but they want to
Move up buyers or, yeah.
So, cool.
Yeah, that
Wow.
definitely is a part of the market. We've seen a little less of the move up buyers as interest rates went up. Just because a lot of people locked in at those, 3% interest rates. So those move up buyers have probably been our slowest segment over the last 12 to 18 months because of
Wow.
interest rates.
Yeah, I could see that because I'm like, I look at like bigger homes and I'm like, oh, that looks
That's
nice.
right, but my interest rate is
But I'm
so
like, I'm
small.
locked in. I'm like, I'm locked in.
Yeah, so I feel like the market's going to be flooded if those rates come down
Yeah,
significantly
yeah, 'cause
because you're
I'm-
going to have a lot of people moving.
Because we've been in our house for almost 10 years now, so we locked in on that good rate.
Right.
And it's like, I'm just going to be paying the same amount. It's
Yeah.
like, even though my house value almost doubled from when I bought it, but looking at that, I'm going to be like, I'm still going to be paying the same amount. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
my equity is not going to really get me anything. So,
Yeah.
and then I guess one more thing is talk about house values. Like I've seen because I've been here now for 10 years just about. Like there's a big jump in the house values. How does that happen? Like what makes the market all of a sudden go
So
from
it's
one price?
supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand is something we can't control. But like we talked about earlier, you had people move in from all over the country, and so the supply went down and the demand went up, and so we saw a huge escalation of prices, over the last couple of years because of that. So
Good for me.
It's what the market will. It's what the market will bear. It's your basic economic formula there.
Absolutely. And we can make a pricing recommendation to you as a seller, but at the end of the day, you have to find a buyer that is willing to pay that price.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's really the meeting of the minds there.
Yeah, there's for each house there's some kind of sweet spot
Absolutely.
for your price.
We tell people that every day.
You can come in too high, and of course most people want all the money they can get
For sure.
when they sell a house, so they normally have a much higher expectation than what it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and we definitely try to, when we're doing our recommendations, get people the most money, because this is more than likely their biggest asset. And real estate
Right.
is just it is such a good way to establish like generational wealth. Like it's just such a
Right.
wealth builder,
Yeah.
you know? And so we definitely do try to maximize the profits, but there is a sweet spot. And we love to be upfront on that, you know, and tell them what we're seeing. So.
Has the rental market cut into that home buying process?
So the rental market is also very elevated. So it's just expensive to live right now.
Yeah.
You know, groceries, rent, mortgage, it's expensive to be a human. So
I know.
the rental market is very, very elevated.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have economy, now I read, and I don't know if this is true, but I read that the real estate market is slow to respond to the current economic conditions, but I don't really see that
I don't see that either.
I think it's a huge reflection on a lot of our current economic conditions.
I believe that because, I mean, you have people, and I'm just use groceries for example, because they're so high right now. You have people spending more on groceries than they are on their mortgage right now. And so at the end of the day, there's only so much pie, right? And you have to choose to eat.
Right.
And so, you know, a lot of people are waiting to buy because of that.
Yep.
So hopefully our economy gets better. And
Has that affected investment properties as well because of the interest rate being high and kind of the inflation that we're dealing with
yeah.
overall?
I mean, it's people are still investing, but there certainly were more investors in the market when the interest rates were lower.
Buy low, sell high.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's interesting. This is interesting. I've always been fascinated with real estate markets. And, having bought and sold a handful of houses. Our house we sold in Bluffton when we moved down here was on the market for 4 hours.
I believe it.
And it was someone out of state from Ohio, sight unseen. They just bought it. And, I mean, you don't see a whole lot of that, like sight unseen.
What year was that?
Yeah.
Was that 21? 20?
That was 10 years ago.
Oh, it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You did
That
well.
was different.
We're selling more houses than ever over like FaceTime. Like that's a newer thing. And again, even to do a FaceTime showing, you have to have a written agreement. I can't open that doorknob. That is literally the line in the sand. But yeah, that used to not. I've been in real estate about 18 years, and I never sold a house over FaceTime until COVID, and it's a thing now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I believe it. I think with all this technology, with FaceTime.
I was going to mention how's technology changed in the whole
Yeah.
selling, buying process.
I mean, I never thought we would be at a point selling a house over FaceTime, because I really do think the best way is like walking into a house. Like you have to feel the house.
Right.
I don't know. There's just something about it. You have to feel it. And, but when you get in a pinch and you're across the country, you can't get to town and the market's so fast where you've got to go
Right.
ahead,
Yeah.
then you do what you have to do.
And I've seen that turnaround, like just like I mentioned in my neighborhood. Like I've seen the sign go literally in the lawn, and the next day it's under contract.
Yeah,
So it's like you got to jump on this.
very quickly.
And then actually, this just popped in my head. You talk about the new the new agreements starting August 17th. Do you think that's going to slow down that turnaround? Is it going to cause a delay in buying and selling?
That's a good question, and honestly, we don't know. We
Yeah.
don't know. We
Until
hope
action.
not.
I think it'll weed out the buyers that aren't serious about buying, because you
Right.
know how lots of people like to window shop and just just look just to look, but they're not serious about buying yet. Well, I think it's going to weed those people out, and those that are really serious about buying are ready.
And have an opportunity to put the offer in and to move forward with the house. For
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's going to really put the line in the sand between those that just want to window shop and those that are really serious about buying a
How
house.
does it affect open houses? Will you still be able to do open houses?
You can go in an open house. So a listing agent can go in an open house, and you can go in and look at the house
Okay.
for an open house. So
But
I
like-
think open houses, like, and if you talk to any realtors, they will tell you they normally don't sell houses. They're for nosy neighbors. But I do.
That's me.
Yeah, we're all guilty, right? But I do think that open houses will become more of a big thing, and we do a lot of open houses now. But you will see a lot more open houses from us in the near future.
Wow.
It was that a trick to, like, bake that tray of cookies or something like that.
Just to be like, let me see what's in here.
You should really be doing is baking a cheesecake.
Oh, yum.
That's
a good
gonna-
idea.
Yeah.
That's gonna get buyers.
So any last points that we missed that you would like to hit on before we wrap this up?
I don't think so. I mean, I think our biggest takeaway should be hire representation.
Right.
Hire a professional. We, of course, would love to be those professionals that you
Yes.
hire. We have 15 wonderful agents all throughout Southeast Georgia, and then we have in North Georgia as well. So, yeah, we would love to sit down, have a cup of coffee, talk real estate, and let you know what your options are.
And for the listeners, can you give them all the contact info? So if they want to visit your
Absolutely.
website, give you a call.
Absolutely. So our main company line is 912-268-3105, or you can visit us 24/7 online at southandeastproperties.com. You can also find our 5-star team of agents on our website with all of their contact information, email addresses, their cell phone numbers if you would prefer to read bios and contact directly, or you can go on our website and request a market analysis for your home or home tour.
Wow. Thank you so much for spending a
Thank
Saturday with
you.
us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
you.
I really appreciate it.
It's a lot of fun, and I learned a lot.
I did too, yeah.
I thought I knew more.
Yeah,
But no.
it's a scary process, coming in wanting to sell your home, buy your home, learning all the
Step one,
terminology.
get that pre-approval first. Really, if you're listening and you're thinking about buying, get that pre-approval. Come in, talk with these ladies, and they'll point you in the right direction to the lenders that you need. And then get that pre-approval, and then you can make that step forward into getting your dream home or dream beach house. I'd love to have a beach house.
Me too.
I mean, I know we live here, but I mean, the beach is only 15 minutes away, but I really like to be like 15 feet away.
Yeah, open the door and see the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So step one, visit them on their website or give them a
That's
phone
right.
call.
That's right. Absolutely. We would love that.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.